Welcome to another episode of the Untold, a show where we show the extraordinary in people's lives and their amazing inspirational journeys. I'm your host, Lujane Al-Athari.
And I'm your host, Abdullah Al-Hindiani. And today's episode, Lajane, we've had our previous guest, Nourah Alhunaidi, who was an amazing athlete, an amazing cancer survivor. She's also into all sorts of physical activities, sports. She has monumental achievements. So we were like, okay, we got to sit down again. We got to talk to you again.
I agree because our last conversation with her was so inspiring, the way that she overcame her cancer and used her mental strength and gratitude to not only overcome the cancer, but become stronger in her physical body. And now she's an athlete, and that's not an easy thing to do.
It isn't. She's also, mashallah, she made it to the national team. She has gone through running. She has gone through playing volleyball again. And to see her go through all of that hardship and to continue in a lot of sports that require so much effort, it's tremendous. I'm really glad that we took the opportunity to sit down again with her to see the ins and outs of how she managed all of this.
I agree, and I can't wait to talk to her and find out how she went from her cancer journey to becoming the athlete that she is today. So stay tuned for after the break.
And we are back. Thank you, dear viewers, for tuning in. But most importantly, thank you, Nourah Al-Hindi, for joining us again on The Untold. Thank you and thank you again.
Glad to be back again, and appreciate you inviting me again.
Well, we loved our talk with you, and I thought that we could go further and talk about your journey beyond cancer because you're also an athlete right now, aren't you?
Yes, um, I'm a volleyball player, um, gymaholic. I did a lot of things. I'm now running, and I try to be as active as I possibly can.
MashaAllah. I think in the previous episode, you did mention that one of the first things that you got to after your treatment was volleyball,
Yeah.
because you said it was your passion when you were younger. So I do want to ask you, how did that passion come along? How did you first get into volleyball?
Um, I was a basketball player, and it was off season in school. So it was volleyball season. I was like, I don't want to stay like this. Let me try volleyball. And turns out I was a better volleyball player than I was a basketball player. And I continued. I continued basketball and volleyball, but I pursued volleyball with more commitment until I reached the national team.
Amazing.
And I played at uni for the national team. And then after my cancer journey, it was the first thing I wanted to do. I was like, I need to go to play volleyball right now.
Well, when you have a passion for something, it can really fuel you and get you forward, especially in more difficult times. And I think your desire to overcome your struggles and get back into volleyball, into sports, into being athletic and active again really helped you with your previous journey.
Definitely. Anyone that has known me before, let's just say COVID, always knew how strong I was. Like, I would serve a ball and people would be like, get away. And going back afterwards, I wanted to be that person with that killer serve. But it wasn't the case. It took a long time to get it back. And I wanted to prove that to myself more than anything, that you're just as strong as you were, but I did not know I was stronger. There was a lot more depth to me now, that that girl with that killer serve now has something even more beast-like, or
MashaAllah. So let's talk about that, because being strong is a definition that alters from person to person. Like for me, for example, you are one of the most strongest person I've ever met, going straight from one of the hardest paths to, you said in the previous episode, 2 weeks going back to physical activity. That takes tremendous amount of strength. So let's talk about your definition of strength. What is being stronger?
before it was physical, now it's everything. It's you saying you can more than you can't. It's not just about being the strongest at the gym. It's not just about being the best or the strongest volleyball player. It's about being the strongest person in a well-rounded sense. You can have your mental strength, which for me is more important than the physical strength, because without it, there's no way you're going to get stronger physically. And that's something that I neglected. Like now, when I used to worry about if I'm going to deadlift 100K or more, now it's like I'm at 80 and I don't care. I'm still strong. And it's that shift that made me realize that strength is not just about physical strength. It's about your definition of strength, how you see it. So it's being a well-rounded, strong person in your definition. What makes you strong? Each person is strong in their own way.
That's so true. Like a lot of people think strength is only about muscles and gaining more muscles and lifting things and stuff, but there are so many definitions. Like you said, the mental aspect goes a long way. Even for athletes such as yourself, they say a lot of it is in your mind. Like half the journey is just getting your mind to do what your body wants or to persevere, even if your body is like, please stop, I don't want to do this anymore. Of course, you should still listen to your body and not push yourself too hard. But it's amazing always whenever I hear people like you talk about, and you're the actual athletes, the ones who have the proper strength, the physicality, and you say it's in my mind. If it wasn't for my willpower, my strength in my mind, I wouldn't get this far. I wouldn't progress so far. So what inspired you after your journey with cancer to pursue not just enjoying activity again, but to make it more professional as well?
I think it was trusting myself. I wanted to never stop playing sports, never stop being active. And because I took a break because of my job, my career, I didn't want to go through that again. I wanted something, a sport or an activity, to be infused in my daily life. It had to be there. But I also listened to my body. The days where I felt like I can't, it's okay. I learned to trust myself, to know when to say it's okay, to stop. So it all makes a difference on how you look at it.
It's all a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do want to ask you, because you've mentioned before that you got back into the gym, you also go through running, and you also play volleyball. So which of these sports were the hardest to get back to, a normal rate after going through your ordeals?
Volleyball was very hard, but surprisingly, I was never a runner. I'll be like, I'm not running more than 200 meters, and that's not for me. And one of the coaches at the gym we had a competition coming up, and I was like, I think I might want to join, maybe next year. I'll train for it, maybe next year. It's like, nope, you're joining us in July. And it was May. I'm like, I don't run. And you see me, I don't run. I'm out of breath after like 1 minute of jumping. And she'd be like, we have time and you can do it. That was something that I was like, I can do it. I have time. And why did I doubt myself? I can't do anything. And I started running. Running was a big part of that competition, but it wasn't the whole thing. So running, I was like, I like this. 1K felt not bad. I think I'm going to do a 5K in November. And I finished the competition, got myself a running coach, and that's when things got serious. 3K was the most I ran, and I want to do 5, and I'm like, I'll start small. But I didn't realize how big it was. I gave myself a goal, which I did not meet, but I was so happy that I actually did it. But it was hard because the days I didn't want to run, the days I didn't want to do the strength training, and there's days I felt like, am I doing running? Why am I running? But it was, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful that running is now something that I'm actually doing. I say they have runner's high, which I have yet to experience, but it's really, it's really challenging and rewarding.
Yeah, no, I think I have a different experience with running entirely. Trying to run to me is like basically torturing myself, even if I've tried doing smaller amounts. It just doesn't work for me. I think everyone has things that they're better at or different at. But for me, running, even back in uni, if I was late and the bus is like right across the street, I wouldn't run for the bus. I was like, I don't run. I'm not doing that. No, thank you. But there were other activities that I found worked better for me and my body and I enjoyed more. And I think enjoying something really helps you get better at it and do more.
Yeah.
And it seems like you do, mashallah, quite a lot of sports and activities.
If there's a sport involved, if it involves any sort of physical activity or movement, I'm in. I'll try it.
Yeah, and it's mashallah, it takes a lot from the person to go and do a physical activity. Because I was reading something that actually physical activities is against our biology because the brain and your body wants to conserve energy, wants to conserve as much as it can. So if you're doing something that, takes energy, your body's like, no, stop what you're doing. That's why, running, all kind of physical activities, your body immediately or your mind tells you, no, stop, this is boring, this is not something you want to do, you want to go watch TV, because it's not thinking about that. So to overcome all of those obstacles, it requires a lot of mental fortitude. But then to go running for kilometers, it takes an even stronger, capacities. So I want to ask you, during those last kilometers of running, what what kind of mental fortitude it takes? Because I know it's about mentality at that point. It's not about physicality.
What I tell myself is, you can do this. The pain, um, the feeling, I'm like, "Ugh, I can walk now." But I don't. Don't give up, because you've come such a long way. I never saw myself ever running a race. Never even thought that I'd be someone that would look forward to a race. I traveled last week just to run. And for me, that was like, whoa, since when? But يعني, our mind can play so many games. But I got the strength and the reminder of the days where, remember, you couldn't walk.
Yeah.
You couldn't carry yourself. But here you are. You're running a race you never thought you would actually sign up for to run. I usually walk. And here you are, running and pushing yourself. You can push yourself another 100 meters, another kilometer. You can do it all. Like, if it's a long race, long distance race, or short distance race, no matter what, you can always do it.
Yeah, I feel like that is really good advice to people because I think that's the difference between an athlete versus a regular person is technically we can all do these movements if we work hard, if we train hard for them, but it's all about the mentality. If you believe you can do it and you're willing to put in the work and the effort, even if you're as you were in such a weak state, you now have gotten to a place where you're in a completely different physical state. So it's really inspiring. I want to thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
We are going to go on a very quick break, and then I hope we can talk about this further.
Sure.
Stay tuned for after the break.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, from the break. I want to ask you about something because we've gone through the first part of the interview about your physical activities. So I want to ask you, out of all of those, what is the one thing that challenges you the most, whether it be physicality or even mentally?
I think they both go alongside each other. I need my mental strength to support my physical strength. And I also need to go through that physical side so that I can strengthen my mental. Both of them work together, and they both feel like they need to work. I need to work on them both. And even moment I step in the gym, on a court, in a track, or in a pool, wherever it is, it's always going to be a challenge to strengthen both my physical and mental.
Yeah, I feel like that makes a lot of sense. And the fact that they work in tandem together, I think a lot of people, I think we said they focus only on the physical, not the mental so much, but both need to work together for your body to reap the results that they need to reap. And a lot of people, I think, if they find something's too hard, they're going to give up very easily. And I'm assuming you just didn't give up, and that's what made you get so far. Would
Yeah.
you say there was any sport or activity that you tried after your treatment that maybe led you to almost give up or was really challenging for you to do?
I wouldn't say that there was a sport. Um, I tried everything, but tried to figure out what was for me and what was not. I think, luckily, alhamdulillah, I'm naturally gifted when it comes to ball sports.
That's really good. Opposite of me.
And so any sport I would try, piece of cake. But then I realized, like, is this for me? Is this not for me? Do I see myself here? I think the one sport, like, I really took pretty seriously, but then I realized I'm like, I don't enjoy this as much as I thought I would be paddle.
Yeah.
Mm.
I liked it at first, but no.
The poor man's tennis.
Yeah, it seemed to just get all the rage all of a sudden in the last few years.
Yeah, so I can still play and I'm still okay with it, but I don't enjoy it as much as I thought I would.
Yeah.
Do you prefer tennis or not those kind of sports in general?
I think I would prefer tennis over paddle. Um, Especially when tennis players are probably my favorite athletes.
They're really fun to watch.
They are.
It's like even if you don't understand sports and you're watching tennis, you kind of get the idea of what's going on. I don't know why. I think that's why everybody ends up watching a lot of the big tennis matches that happen.
Yeah.
Um, it's funny that you said that any sport with a ball is one that you found yourself naturally gifted at. It was not like that for me. Growing up, especially back in school, I looked very athletic, but I wasn't. Like I was very tall, very fit. So every teacher in sports would be like, she's the one we're gonna make captain of this team right now. She looks like she knows what she's doing with the ball. I did not. If anything, the ball would fly at me and hit me all the time. It's as if I was a magnet for it, but I didn't know how to catch it. I lacked the coordination. But I was better at doing other things such as swimming, horse riding, ballet. I was very into that growing up. But ball sports or more of those kind of activities, they weren't for me at all. Were there any things that you found yourself drawn to more physically?
Yeah, I think, you know, being a kid in Kuwait, we normally gravitate toward playing football. And I remember I used to play a lot of football. I was athletic. I do share with you some of those, you know, before and after, because when I was a kid, I actually broke my leg in half,
Oh,
and then they discovered a tumor, which was not cancerous, alhamdulillah. But then I had to have like a prosthetic bone inside my leg and a metal bar. So I think the idea or the mentality that I had being a physical kid before and after, you know, they say that comparison is the enemy of success. You can't help it but compare yourself and your fitness levels before and after. So when I ask you, did you ever find yourself in such ordeals where you were comparing yourself, you know, before and after, where you felt bad for not meeting the numbers you've had before, or was that something not on your mind anymore?
Only at first. Especially with volleyball. I wanted to be the player I was before. I wanted to be the strongest girl on the court. And then I became okay with it. I became okay with rebuilding myself. Um, I would still like to say that I'm still a good volleyball player. I think I'm a great volleyball player, but I always compare myself to the one before COVID. But I have better character now. How I see things when it comes to sports and physical activity, my character is a lot better. My discipline, my toughness, the way my sportsmanship all changed afterwards. And I think that to me is a better thing to compare myself to than to just be physically strong before and after.
No, I agree entirely. And I think that's also something that comes as you get older, is you start to really learn about yourself and the world and how it works. Because when you're young, a lot of things comes more easy for you and your body can adapt and is more resilient in a different way. Just, the energy of youth and all of that. But once you get older, your body starts challenging you in different ways. So you have to work with it more. And it's the working with it that I think a lot of people forget to do.
Yeah.
They try to force things and that can cause injuries amongst other stuff. But you have to listen to your body. You have to follow your own gut when it comes to it. And everybody is individual. There's not like a one size fits all thing for everybody.
Funny enough, my right arm, like the upper part of my right arm, was numb. And I'm a volleyball player, so I
Yeah.
need both arms. I could still move my arms and perfectly well, but it felt weird once I got sensation back, because I had
Imagine.
to rewire my brain. Okay, now you're gonna feel the ball hitting, you're gonna feel this, and you need to do this, and it needed a lot more brain power. But I never used it as an excuse. If anything, it taught me like you can use your brain a lot better now. So, anyway, we try our best, and we're not perfect.
Yeah, but that's all you can do, really. It is all about trying. It's if you
Yeah.
don't try that it's the problem.
True.
And also, on the topic of trying, you, mashallah, tried all kinds of sport. So, and you've also had so many achievements in those kind of sports. So I want to ask you, which of those achievements are you, would say, most proud of?
I have two. The first one is representing Kuwait for volleyball
MashaAllah.
and finishing second. So for our first tournament, I think that was really good.
That's amazing, mashallah.
But I think the most rewarding and the one that I am really grateful for is running my first 5K, because it was the one thing I told myself I'll never do, or I can never do. And doing it in a time where I'm like, whoa, I did that on my first attempt, actually felt really good. So crossing the finish line for that first 5K was probably the most rewarding sporting event, which was very recent. It was something I did not know that I wanted to pursue or actually even try.
Oh, when was it?
In November.
Oh, so yeah, very recent.
Very recent. And since then, I've done another 2 races. So I'm like, okay, here I am. But that first time crossing the finish line was the best feeling.
No, I'm sure. Like, especially as you said, running was not something that you had done before. So it's a brand new kind of activity and sport for you to even consider. And your coach encouraged you to do it in a short amount of time. And even you said it was your mental limitation stopping you from trying. And then you're like, why am I stopping myself? I should try it. And then you did. And mashallah, you did it. And even if you didn't reach the goals that you said you wanted to reach, just doing it and getting there is better, because I think a lot of people realize that you're going to fail a lot of times before you get to where you want to be. And I think that's part of what, you're showing us right now, is even though you were this athlete and you do all these things, even you're like, I know my limitations. And even if I didn't reach this speed or this endurance or this win at this moment, I know I'm going to get there in the future.
Yes.
And I think that resilience, that hope is what really pushes you.
Yeah, it does. It really pushes me, and it makes me realize that, whoa, you don't need the time. You don't need to come first. What you do need to do is be better than you were yesterday. And I think that's something that we fail to do. And this past few years have really taught me that it's okay if you don't win. It's okay if you don't meet your goals, but just keep trying. So it's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. And, I'm very happy that you said that, because it can segue into my next question, which is also going to be my last question, because we are reaching the end of the conversation, is that if you were to go to that first day of your diagnosis, what kind of things would you tell yourself at the time? Especially now, that message could also echo to a lot of people, women, specifically, who are now going through such, trials and tribulations. So what kind of words would you tell yourself?
I always like to identify with the phoenix that rises from the ashes. And that's how I feel. Like, you can rise, you can come out of this stronger, you can be a better version of yourself, and you don't have to. If that's something that you don't want, overcoming this, you can just be you and always feel like it's enough. This is something I struggle with, understanding just how to be enough, because I strive for more and more. But I like that I was given the chance to be a warrior, someone that is willing to fight every single day and to accept any challenge that comes her way. So always, it's something I always tell her, you can come out of this and you can choose how you want to come out of this.
I think that was a wonderful message, and I'm so glad you shared it with us and joined us today.
Thank you. Thank you
And
very
I
much.
love the metaphor of the phoenix as well, because just rising from the ashes, and even how you said you don't have to always reach 100%. Just doing a bit more and better than you did before makes a big difference, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. And I think that's a wonderful message to share with people. And I want to thank you for just sharing this journey with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be here.
Well, all thanks goes to you, and also all thanks goes to the viewers who have tuned in. We are going to take a break, so stay tuned. Well, that's it from us, the team of The Untold. Honestly, I could sit down for way more hours with Nourah to talk all about her, I would say mentality above all.
I agree. I love talking to her, the way that she's able to let us know how her journey went, her mental strength, and how she just has the passion for sports and physical activity. I feel like most people after battling cancer would not be able to go back to the level that she is today.
Yeah, mashallah, and her story hasn't even started, right? Because soon after we shut down the cameras, she talked about how she was going to go to triathlon, which is another monumental physical, activity.
Yeah, she said she's going to be hitting her 5-year mark after cancer, and to celebrate, she wants to do a triathlon, which is not the way I would celebrate, but I love hearing that someone who has a love of activity and sports will celebrate by pushing their body even further and just celebrating how amazing their bodies are and what they can do.
Yeah, and again, I would like to send a tremendous thank you to Nourah for sitting down with us again. For me personally, I've enjoyed both episodes. I've learned so much from both episodes, and I hope the audience have learned as well.
I agree. I found it so inspirational, and I hope that the audience also was inspired and maybe are willing to do their own fitness journeys no matter where they are in life. And that's all we have for today. I'll see you next time.